Have you ever wondered why some men do everything for women, yet they are ignored, disrespected, or even abandoned, while another man, who may not even try so hard, is deeply respected, admired, and valued? The answer is not in money, looks, or charm. It's in something far deeper. And if a man does not learn this, no matter what he gives, he will never gain lasting respect. A man must respect himself first. This is the foundation of everything else, because the truth is simple. If you do not see value in yourself, if you do not honor your own life, your own time, your own principles, then no one else will. Women are intuitive. They can sense a man's inner confidence or his lack of it even before he opens his mouth. Respect is not just about how you stand or how you speak. It is about the way you live when no one is watching. If a man constantly compromises on what he knows is right for him, if he settles for less than what he deserves, if he bends his back for people who don't even appreciate him, then he is silently training the world to disrespect him. The first and most powerful truth is this: people treat you the way you treat yourself. If you walk around with your shoulders lowered, always apologizing for your existence, always seeking permission to matter, then don't be surprised when people treat you as optional. A man who doesn't respect himself is like a house without a foundation. It can look good on the outside, but the first storm will reveal how weak it truly is. Self-respect begins with the small decisions you make every single day. When you wake up in the morning and choose whether to snooze the alarm or rise with discipline, you are telling yourself what kind of man you are. When you decide whether to keep your word, even if it's uncomfortable, you are shaping your identity. Many men want women to respect them, yet they break their own promises, they live in procrastination, they neglect their health, they give their energy to meaningless distractions. Then they wonder why women look at them with disappointment. Respect starts when a man can look in the mirror and know he is reliable, not just for others, but for himself. Because if you cannot depend on yourself, how can anyone else depend on you? A woman is drawn to a man who honors himself because it signals safety, stability, and leadership. Imagine a man who does not respect himself. He accepts insults, he tolerates disloyalty, he stays silent when he should speak, and he allows others to misuse his kindness. A woman looking at such a man will feel no security, because if he cannot defend himself, how will he defend her? If he does not believe he is worth more, how will he ever believe she is worth protecting? But when a man respects himself, it shows in the firmness of his decisions, in the boundaries he sets, in the discipline he maintains. He does not need to shout that he is strong because his actions quietly reveal it. He does not need to beg for respect because his presence commands it without asking. There is also another layer to this truth. Many men confuse arrogance with self-respect. They believe that being loud, aggressive, or controlling will earn them honor. But arrogance is a mask for insecurity, and women see through it instantly. True self-respect is not about inflating yourself. It is about living in alignment with your values. It is about knowing your worth so deeply that you do not need to prove it through ego. A man who respects himself does not chase approval from every person, does not compromise his soul for temporary pleasures, and does not allow fear to make his decisions. Instead, he is rooted, calm, and steady. And this is why women admire him, because he stands in a world full of men who are shaken by every opinion, every rejection, every challenge. The man who respects himself also values his time and energy. He does not give endless hours to people who drain him. He does not stay in environments that lower him. He knows that his presence is not cheap, so he invests it wisely. When a woman sees that a man respects his time, she respects him more because she understands that if he values himself, he will also value her presence. On the other hand, a man who is always available, always ready to bend, always desperate for attention, loses his worth because he shows that his life has no structure, no priority, no dignity. Respect, therefore, is not something you ask for. It is something you embody. And once you embody it, the world adjusts to you. Boundaries create respect, and without them, no man can ever expect to be valued in the eyes of a woman or even in the eyes of society. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are lines that define what you stand for, what you allow, and what you refuse to tolerate. A man without boundaries is like a country without borders, open to invasion, abuse, and chaos. People, including women, test boundaries naturally, not because they are cruel, but because they want to see the strength of the person they are dealing with. When a man says yes to everything, when he accepts behavior that goes against his dignity, when he avoids conflict just to keep peace, he does not come across as kind, he comes across as weak. And weakness never inspires respect. Women respect men who can draw the line, who can say no with clarity, and who can protect their values even when it is uncomfortable. A boundary is not just about telling someone what they can or cannot do around you. It is also about showing how you treat yourself. For example, if a man allows his partner to speak to him with disrespect, insult him publicly, or ignore his needs repeatedly, he is teaching her that his feelings do not matter. Over time, she will lose admiration for him, not because she wanted to disrespect him, but because he failed to show her where the limit was. On the other hand, a man who calmly but firmly states, "I don't accept this kind of behavior," is sending a powerful message. I know my worth, and I won't let anyone, not even the person I love, violate that. This kind of strength builds respect instantly because it proves that his dignity is not negotiable. Boundaries also extend to time, energy, and priorities. A man who is always available, always sacrificing his schedule, always abandoning his responsibilities just to please others, appears as though his life has no structure. Women do not admire men who can be pulled in every direction. They admire men who stand firm in their commitments and do not compromise their purpose for temporary approval. When a man says, "I can't do this now, I have work to finish," or "This is my personal time, I will talk later," it may sound small, but it communicates strength. It shows that he takes his own life seriously. It shows that he values himself enough not to allow constant interruptions. That firmness draws respect, because respect always follows those who lead themselves first. Boundaries also create safety. A woman feels safe with a man who is not easily manipulated, who will not lose himself in her emotions, and who knows when to take a stand. This does not mean being rigid or harsh. It means being clear about what is acceptable and what is not. Without boundaries, a relationship becomes messy, with resentment on both sides. The man feels drained because he gives too much, and the woman feels dissatisfied because she cannot trust his strength. But when a man has boundaries, she knows where he stands, and that stability allows her to relax into respect and admiration. Boundaries are not selfish. They are acts of self-respect that naturally create balance in relationships. A man must also understand that boundaries will be tested. Sometimes a woman will push past the line just to see if he truly means what he says. If he folds, she will know his strength was only an act. If he remains consistent, her respect for him will grow because consistency proves authenticity. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling yourself. They are about knowing that your values, your time, and your dignity are worth protecting. And when a man embodies this truth, when he stands tall in his boundaries without fear of rejection, he becomes the kind of man whose presence demands respect without him ever asking for it. Consistency over charm is one of the most powerful truths a man can understand when it comes to earning respect. Charm may capture attention for a moment, but consistency builds trust for a lifetime. A man who knows how to speak well, who can impress with his words, or who can temporarily display grand gestures may be able to win admiration for a short while. But sooner or later, words lose their weight if they are not backed by action. Women do not remember the flattering lines or the promises made in excitement. They remember whether a man showed up when he said he would, whether he kept his commitments even when it was inconvenient, and whether his behavior remained steady through good times and bad. Consistency is the true measure of a man's character because it reflects discipline, reliability, and strength. Charm is like a spark that can light a flame, but consistency is the fuel that keeps the fire burning. The reason consistency earns respect is that it creates certainty. A woman cannot respect a man if she never knows which version of him will appear, the responsible one who makes plans or the careless one who breaks them, the supportive one who listens or the distracted one who ignores. When a man is consistent, he creates stability in the relationship, and stability is the ground where respect grows. It doesn't mean he is perfect or never makes mistakes, but it means his overall pattern is dependable. He doesn't disappear when things get hard. He doesn't show love one day and neglect the next. He doesn't preach about values he cannot live up to. Instead, he shows up again and again with the same level of effort, the same discipline, the same respect for himself and others. That rhythm is what builds trust, and trust is the backbone of respect. Charm, on the other hand, can easily mislead. Many men believe that if they can impress with humor, flattery, or appearance, they will gain lasting admiration. But women quickly learn to look past charm because charm is everywhere. A charming man can entertain, but if his actions contradict his words, he becomes disappointing. Imagine a man who makes grand promises, who paints a beautiful picture of the future, but when the time comes to deliver, he vanishes or makes excuses. At first, the woman may be fascinated by his words, but over time, she will feel betrayed. His charm will turn from attractive to irritating because it masks inconsistency. She will not respect him, not because he lacks charisma, but because he lacks reliability. Consistency also shows discipline, and discipline is magnetic. A man who can wake up every day and pursue his purpose, who keeps working on his goals without needing constant motivation, proves that he can handle responsibility. Women respect men who are in control of themselves because it signals that they can also handle the pressures of protecting and leading in a relationship. It is not the man who makes the loudest declarations of ambition who earns admiration. It is the man who, day after day, takes small but steady steps toward progress. That level of self-control is far more impressive than any words he could say. It shows seriousness, it shows maturity, and it shows that his life is not led by fleeting emotions, but by deep principles. There is also a deeper psychological truth here. People trust patterns, not performances. If a man is consistent, his partner feels safe to open up because she knows what to expect. But if he is unpredictable, even if he is charming, she will remain guarded. Respect grows in environments where people feel secure, not where they feel uncertain. A woman does not want to constantly question whether her man will change his mind tomorrow or abandon his commitments. She wants to see that his character is steady, his word is reliable, and his actions match his promises. This steadiness is what makes her respect him, because it shows he is not a boy chasing feelings, but a man building something solid. Consistency does not mean being boring or robotic. It means aligning actions with words, maintaining principles regardless of circumstances, and showing reliability even when it is not convenient. It means being the kind of man who does not need to announce his loyalty because his loyalty is proven through time. It means not needing to brag about discipline because discipline is evident in his habits. It means not needing to rely on charm to impress because his presence itself communicates trustworthiness. Women respect this deeply because in a world where many men try to dazzle with temporary sparks, the man who burns steadily like a flame becomes unforgettable. Purpose attracts respect because nothing commands admiration more than a man who knows where he is going. A man without direction may survive, but he will never inspire. He may exist day by day following routines, but without purpose, his life feels empty, and those around him feel the emptiness too. Women instinctively recognize when a man has no deeper mission because his energy is scattered, his decisions are inconsistent, and his presence feels unsettled. He drifts from one thing to another, easily influenced, easily distracted, and easily broken. On the other hand, a man with purpose radiates a different kind of presence, even if he is not yet where he wants to be. Even if he is still building, his commitment to a bigger vision makes him stand taller. He carries himself differently because he is not just living for the moment, he is building towards something greater. That focus attracts respect because it signals strength, stability, and leadership. Purpose gives weight to a man's existence. Without it, even his strengths seem wasted, but with it, even his weaknesses become part of a powerful story. When a man knows his purpose, his actions align. He doesn't waste time chasing every distraction, and he doesn't compromise his future for temporary pleasure. Women notice this immediately. They can see the difference between a man who spends hours numbing himself with meaningless habits and one who invests his energy into growth. A man with purpose may not have everything figured out, but he has clarity in his eyes. That clarity tells the world, I am not lost. I am not easily swayed. I am building something bigger than today. This seriousness attracts respect because people admire direction more than perfection. A man's purpose also creates security for the people around him. A woman feels more stable with a man who knows what he is working toward because his purpose becomes the anchor that holds the relationship steady. If a man has no direction, she will always feel uncertain because she knows that when challenges come, he has nothing strong to stand on. But when a man is connected to his mission, even when life becomes difficult, he does not collapse. His vision keeps him moving forward, and that resilience makes others trust him more. Respect naturally grows in the presence of someone who cannot be shaken easily, someone who has a guiding star to follow. Another important truth is that purpose fuels discipline. A man who knows his purpose wakes up differently, approaches challenges differently, and handles distractions differently. He does not need external motivation because his vision itself pulls him forward. Women respect this deeply because it shows that his drive does not depend on her or on anyone else's validation. It comes from within. That independence is attractive because it proves he is not a man who will lose himself in neediness or desperation. He is not trying to impress with empty charm. He is showing through his pursuit that his life has meaning. And when a woman sees that, she knows she can respect him because he respects his own calling enough to protect it. Purpose also separates men from the crowd. Many men may look alike on the surface, but their purpose is what sets them apart. A man who is only chasing money, attention, or comfort will eventually be forgotten, but a man who is guided by a meaningful vision leaves a mark wherever he goes. His words carry more weight, his presence feels more powerful, and his actions inspire others. Respect is never given freely. It is earned. And the man who lives with purpose earns it naturally because people can see he is not just surviving, he is leading. Women especially value this because deep down, they do not want to follow a man who is lost. They want to stand beside a man who knows where he is going because his direction gives their relationship direction as well. A purposeful man does not need to ask for respect. It is drawn to him. His focus, his clarity, and his resilience speak louder than anything he could say. Even in silence, people feel it. His life becomes a living testimony that respect is not about what you demand, but about what you embody through your mission and your determination to fulfill it. Emotional strength is non-negotiable because without it, a man cannot truly earn respect, no matter how much money he makes, how intelligent he is, or how good he looks. Emotional strength is the ability to remain grounded when life becomes overwhelming, to control impulses when anger, fear, or frustration rise, and to maintain clarity in the middle of storms. A man who loses himself every time pressure comes will never be trusted because his reactions show that he cannot be relied on. Women instinctively test this quality, sometimes without even realizing it, because they want to know if the man standing beside them has the stability to handle challenges. If his emotions control him, he becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability never attracts respect. But when a man can feel deeply yet still remain in control of his actions, he shows that his emotions serve him rather than him serving his emotions. That level of balance is what makes him admirable. Emotional strength is not the absence of feelings. In fact, the strongest men are not those who suppress emotions, but those who acknowledge them without letting them dictate destructive behavior. A man who pretends he feels nothing is not strong. He is disconnected. True strength comes when a man can feel pain but not collapse, when he can feel anger but not explode recklessly, when he can feel fear but still move forward. This kind of strength builds respect because it reveals mastery of self. A woman does not respect a man who lashes out every time things go wrong, who becomes bitter when he faces disappointment, or who crumbles when life becomes heavy. She respects the man who stays calm under pressure, who processes emotions with maturity, and who chooses his responses instead of being a slave to them. That control creates an environment of safety because she knows that no matter how intense life gets, he will not lose himself in the chaos. One of the clearest signs of emotional weakness is the need for constant validation. A man who cannot stand on his own without approval will always feel shaky because his self-worth depends on what others think. This insecurity eventually destroys respect because it shows that he has no internal foundation. A man with emotional strength, on the other hand, does not crumble under rejection or criticism. He listens, he learns, but he does not let the opinions of others define him. That independence makes him attractive because it proves that he is not easily broken by external voices. Women admire men who stand tall even when misunderstood because it shows they are rooted in something deeper than emotion. They are rooted in principle. Emotional strength also shows in the way a man handles conflict. Arguments, disagreements, and misunderstandings are inevitable in any relationship, but the way a man responds determines whether respect grows or dies. A weak man shouts, insults, or withdraws completely. He either uses aggression to cover his fragility or avoids the problem altogether because he cannot face discomfort. A strong man, however, stays steady. He listens. He explains himself clearly, and he does not let his anger dictate his words. This control makes a woman respect him, not because he dominates her, but because he demonstrates maturity. He proves that he can handle difficult conversations without losing dignity. And dignity in the middle of conflict is a mark of strength that lasts longer than charm or good looks ever could. Emotional strength also means resilience, the ability to keep moving forward even after failure, loss, or rejection. Life will test every man, and a woman watches closely how he responds when he falls. If he blames everyone, if he sinks into self-pity, if he refuses to rise, she cannot admire him because he shows weakness. But if he accepts his pain, learns from it, and keeps pushing, she respects him even more than if he had never failed. failed, because strength is not proven in comfort. It is proven in adversity. A man who rises after falling earns respect not only from women, but from everyone around him, because resilience is the essence of true leadership. In the end, emotional strength is non-negotiable because it is the invisible backbone of respect. Without it, a man may have temporary admiration, but he will always lose it when tested. With it, he becomes steady, trustworthy, and unshakable, and that presence commands respect far more than words, appearance, or material success ever could. Leadership through service is one of the most misunderstood yet most powerful principles that determine whether a man earns respect. Many men confuse leadership with dominance, thinking that to lead means to control, to dictate, or to demand obedience. But true leadership is not about making others feel small. It is about making them feel safe, guided, and valued. Leadership through service means taking responsibility, not just for yourself, but also for the people entrusted to you. It is not weakness, and it is not submission. It is strength expressed through humility, courage, and accountability. Women especially respect men who embody this kind of leadership, because it shows that they are not driven by ego, but by a genuine commitment to something greater than themselves. A man who serves his family, his community, and his vision without losing his authority demonstrates a balance that is rare, and that balance is what makes him admirable. Leadership through service begins with responsibility. A man cannot expect respect if he runs from responsibility, blames others for his failures, or avoids the weight of hard decisions. Service means stepping up even when it is difficult. It means protecting, providing, and guiding, not because it is convenient, but because it is necessary. A leader does not wait for someone else to fix problems. He takes initiative. A man who avoids responsibility may try to lead with words, but he will never be taken seriously because people follow examples, not speeches. A man who embraces responsibility earns respect naturally because his actions show reliability, and reliability is the foundation of leadership. Service also means sacrifice. True leaders are willing to give up temporary comfort for long-term growth, both for themselves and for those they care about. A man who only serves himself, chasing his own pleasure, may look strong for a while, but his selfishness eventually erodes respect. But a man who sacrifices his time to provide for his family, who sacrifices his pride to resolve conflicts, who sacrifices his energy to build a better future, shows that he is not living only for himself. Women deeply respect this because it proves he has the heart of a protector. Sacrifice does not make him weak. It makes him trustworthy because it reveals that he puts the well-being of others alongside his own ambitions. Another important part of leadership through service is guidance. A leader does not simply demand obedience, he provides direction. A man who lives with clarity and vision serves others by showing them the path. This does not mean he has to know every answer, but it means he is willing to lead with integrity, with wisdom, and with courage. Women respect a man who can guide without arrogance, who can teach without belittling, who can inspire without manipulation. This kind of leadership creates an environment where others feel supported, not controlled. And in that environment, respect grows naturally because people admire leaders who make them better, not leaders who make them smaller. Service in leadership also requires humility. A man who believes leadership makes him superior will eventually lose respect because arrogance alienates people. But a man who understands that leadership is a privilege, not a crown, earns respect because he shows that his authority comes from responsibility, not from entitlement. Humility allows him to listen, to learn, and to admit when he is wrong. And nothing inspires respect more than a leader who is strong enough to remain teachable. Women see humility as a sign of deep security because it proves he does not need to dominate to feel powerful. His power lies in his confidence to serve without losing his identity. Finally, leadership through service creates legacy. A man who serves as a leader leaves behind more than possessions. He leaves behind people who are stronger because of his influence. A woman respects this deeply because she sees that his leadership is not just about control in the present, but about impact in the future. A man who leads by serving becomes unforgettable because his presence uplifts, his actions inspire, and his commitment builds trust that no charm or authority could ever replace. Integrity is the foundation because without it, everything else eventually collapses. A man may build his reputation on charm, on wealth, on appearance, or even on temporary success, but if there is no integrity beneath it all, it will not last. Integrity means that your actions, your words, and your values are aligned. It means that you are the same person when no one is watching as you are when the world is looking at you. Integrity is not about perfection, but about honesty, consistency, and truthfulness. A man without integrity cannot be trusted, and a man who cannot be trusted cannot be respected. Women, in particular, notice this quickly. They may admire a man for his intelligence or his ambition, but if they sense that he speaks one way and lives another, respect disappears. Integrity is the silent force that makes every other quality real, because without it, everything else is only a performance. Integrity begins with honesty. Not just honesty with others, but honesty with yourself. Many men deceive themselves long before they deceive the world. They tell themselves they are working hard when they are procrastinating. They tell themselves they are loyal when they are hiding secrets. They tell themselves they are strong when they are running from responsibility. But a man who is not honest with himself is building a life on lies, and eventually those lies will show. Women respect men who are honest even when the truth is difficult because it shows courage. To admit weakness, to acknowledge failure, to speak the truth without fear of losing approval, this is what makes a man trustworthy. And trust is the foundation of respect. Integrity is also about alignment between words and actions. Anyone can make promises, but only a man of integrity follows through. When a man says he will do something and then actually does it, no matter how small, he builds a reputation of reliability. People know that his word carries weight, and women especially notice this. They remember when a man says, "I will be there at this time," and he shows up on time. They remember when he says, "I don't tolerate this kind of behavior," and he stays consistent even when tested. They notice when his lifestyle matches the values he claims to believe in. On the other hand, when a man's words and actions do not align, disappointment follows, and disappointment slowly erodes respect. Integrity means living in such a way that your life is your proof, not your explanations. Another layer of integrity is loyalty. Loyalty does not just mean staying committed in relationships. It also means staying committed to principles, to friends, and to responsibilities even when it is difficult. A man who abandons his values the moment they cost him something is not respected because it shows he has no real backbone. A man of integrity, however, holds to his values even when it is inconvenient. He does not betray trust for quick gain. He does not compromise his principles to fit in. He does not change his character depending on who is watching. This steadiness makes people admire him because it proves he is real. Women respect this deeply because it creates safety. She knows who he is, and she does not have to fear that he will become someone else when pressured by circumstances. Integrity also requires accountability. No man is flawless, but a man of integrity does not hide from his mistakes. He owns them. When he fails, he admits it. When he hurts someone, he apologizes. When he falls short, he does not create excuses, he corrects himself. This humility makes him more respectable, not less, because it shows that he values truth over pride. A man who hides his mistakes or blames others will always lose respect, but a man who takes responsibility earns it because it takes strength to be accountable. Ultimately, integrity is what makes respect permanent. Charm fades, appearance changes, money comes and goes, but integrity leaves a lasting impression. It is the reason some men are remembered for generations while others are forgotten. Integrity builds trust, and trust builds respect. When a man lives with integrity, he does not need to demand honor because his life itself demands it.